Okay, guys, this was aired tonight on the MSNBC channel. This is the Lawrence O'Donnell show, and this is one of the correspondents talking about the call he had with the call that Donald Trump had with Putin. So let's have a quick listen.
Regime in Syria. He has essentially ceded the landscape to Putin. Putin now sees himself as the leading force, obviously, in Syria. Russian news services today had deeper reporting than the White House's own readout of the meeting. They said that Putin also contacted the leaders of Turkey and Egypt, among others, before getting in touch with Trump.
So you heard that Putin apparently contacted the leaders of Turkey and of, what was the other country he said? Egypt. So I made a video the other day about the possible potential of, Russia and Iran and China in the background on the other side, forming some sort of military line or military semicircle around Israel. Now, we're entering into Israel's 70th year. That takes place on the 29th of November. Following that, we're still in Israel's 70th year until 29th of November 2018. That time period from 29th of November 2017 to 29th of November 2018 is Israel's 70th year. So in the Bible, if we're interpreting it correctly, then we should expect for something biblical to take place within that timescale. Looking at the map, as I pointed out before, Russia is Belarus ally. They've annexed part of Ukraine. They're having conversations with Turkey, and this is after NATO offended the Turkish president, and the president wouldn't accept their apology. As I said, if he's not going to accept their apology, then what happens next? Russia and Iran are in Syria, as well as Iraq. And there's issues going on in Saudi Arabia, where the Crown Prince arrested 11 other princes and 4 ministers, consolidating power to himself. And Jared Kushner was there, I believe it was 2 days before this happened. And Egypt, as you just heard in that correspondent say from the Russian media reports, that President Vladimir Putin was on the phone to Turkey and on the phone to Egypt just before he got on the phone to Donald Trump. Now, regardless of what you think about Donald Trump, whether you like him or hate him, you have to concede that his behavior towards Russia is unusual. People can say, oh, he's trying to build a better relationship between the United States and Russia. But to believe that, you have to also believe that Russia doesn't have any sort of ambition to rise above the other countries, especially the United States. The United States has had power over the entire world for a long time. Now, Russia and China are trying to get their, I wouldn't even say they're trying to get their share of it. They're trying to take it over. That's what they're trying to do. And they have their puppets, Iran and North Korea, on the front lines with their missiles and rockets and, nuclear threats and stuff like that, while Russia and China are in the background pulling the strings. Russia for Iran, China for North Korea. Now, as I've already mentioned, you can see the line that's being drawn here, and it's all surrounding the little tiny landmass of Israel. Now, Matthew 24, starting from verse 9, says, "Then shall they deliver you up to be afflicted, and shall kill you, and ye shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake. And then shall many be offended, and shall betray one another, and shall hate one another." I wanted to focus on that word betray, Because in order to betray someone, there has to be a trust that can be broken or betrayed. At the moment, that trust, from what I'm looking at, appears to be the trust between Israel and America. Now, a lot of people said last year when the UN decided to, tell Israel to stop their settlements, that was the betrayal against Israel. And that could be seen as a betrayal against Israel, but it wasn't one where they were delivered up to be afflicted and killed. The way it's looking now is looking more like that. It's looking like Israel could potentially be delivered up to be afflicted or persecuted and killed and betrayed. The reason I bring this to your attention is because of the current climate in the world. Everything that's going on, our attentions are being drawn to, the Asian peninsula with China and North Korea, and they are important. Don't get me wrong on that point. But what I'm seeing here is an attempt to surround Israel through Egypt, Saudi Arabia, Iraq, Syria, Turkey, Ukraine, and Belarus. It's incredible, to be honest. It's incredible I'm just looking at the map and I'm thinking, okay, Russia's biggest issue is from here upwards. So all these countries, Poland, Romania, Bulgaria. In fact, I'm not exactly sure about Romania and Bulgaria. I haven't researched to find out what their current positions are, but definitely moving this way. These countries are in NATO. They are allies of the US and also allies of Israel. But right now, Israel's being surrounded by enemies, and it doesn't look like anyone's coming to their aid. In fact, it looks like there may be some sort of plan for Israel to be betrayed. So, you heard the correspondent say, it's like America doesn't have a game plan in Syria. It's like they're ceding control to Russia. And that's very close to Israel. In Iraq, Iran's stepping in, very close to Israel. In Egypt, they're having conversations with the Russian president, again close to Israel. Turkey, an incredibly important strategic location, is having conversations with Russia. China is having conversations with Russia. North Korea is having conversations with Russia. So that's just the point of my video. Russia and China are pulling the strings of Iran and North Korea, and there seems to be some sort of plan to surround Israel, which may lead to Israel's betrayal, fulfilling Matthew 24, verse 9 and 10. And there you go. Sorry about that. Just as a side note, this is a report that I just picked up. Israel may demand Iran leave Syria, but Russia sets the rules of the game, so you know that Iran and Russia are in league with each other. The prevailing theory with this whole thing is that Israel will be attacked twice. The first time will be a joint union of Russia and Iran, but according to the Bible, that army is defeated. Then something happens to dry up the river Euphrates, and this is getting a bit complicated, but basically when ISIS took over, went into Iraq and went to the town of Mosul, there's a dam there which was built on land which contains material that doesn't allow the dam to be solid, so it has to be constantly pumped with cement to fill the holes. Otherwise the dam would subside into the ground and the water would overtop the dam, flooding a large expanse of land and killing millions of people with a flood over there. When ISIS took over or gained control of Mosul, they obviously did not maintain the dam, and the dam has to be filled constantly because there's always holes developing underneath it because of the material that's there. I think it's called gypsum or something. Can't remember that exactly. But that story there led me to the whole drying up the river Euphrates. And in the Bible it says that the river will be dried up so that the armies from the east, the way will be made for the armies of the east. So the second people to come against Israel will be, or according to the prevailing theory, will be the remaining forces of the Middle East and Russia, plus China. And that's where they get this huge army that crosses over the river Euphrates and comes towards Israel. Again, the theory there is that they are defeated for a second time, and that's when, the Lord returns. But as you can see from here, it's all there already, it's all set. It just needs to be put into action. The alliances have been formed. The betrayal is ready to happen. All we're waiting for now is for it to start. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention, because as you can see here, it says Israel won't allow Iran to establish presence in Syria. So whether it's Israel that goes against Iran first because they're in Syria, or whether it's Russia and Iran coming against Israel first, I'm not too sure of how it starts. But what I do know is that there is a high potential for something like this to happen, and it's all in the Bible. So I just wanted to add that on to the end of the video. Sorry about that. Again, good morning, afternoon, and night.